Hello and welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. This week I come to you guys with a disclaimer. I am tired. Mentally, physically, I'm tired. But I am here showing up for myself because I love recording and sharing my thoughts and my opinions and my feelings with my closest what do I call you? Podcaster, Claudia.
Hi, Don. I love that. I love the introduction. Thank you.
Yes, he is my podcaster in crime, or my victim in podcasting. I don't know.
Yeah, you're good. I like the podcaster in crime. I'll take that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, but I'm tired, but I love doing this, and I tell Claudia every time, "Oh my God, I didn't want to do this today, but we did it, and we had an awesome episode." So it's happened to me lately because I do have a lot work wise and personally going on. So I'm just like, I'm tired. I don't want to put a face on and, do something. Right. So,
Right.
but when I walk away from Claudia and our time together, I feel better. I feel good. So today we are going rogue, not rogue, but we're just going to go raw again. Like, I don't really have anything in particular. And I would just love to conversate if that's okay with you, Claudia.
Yes, absolutely. Conversation is my middle name.
I can tell you my brain never turns off. Like it's hard to turn it off.
Ooh, I think a lot of us deal with that, Don. I think that's a
Hmm.
really good point because we're consistently, even when we think we're not thinking, we're thinking,
Hmm.
if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
It
I
does.
think that's why it's so hard to when someone suggests, "Oh, you should implement the practice of, let's say, meditation," right?
Yep.
You literally have to be still. And nowadays,
Yes.
I don't know if that's possible. I mean, your mind, I mean, physically, you probably can. I mean, some people have harder time than others, but your mind has to be still.
And it's funny because a lot of people do struggle with that, but girl, I can sit in silence. I can tell you that. The problem
Beautiful.
is I don't, right? And this is why I'm tired. Like I'm going, 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 and I'm not doing what I preach right now.
Right.
And then even when I'm like, okay, I am gonna turn off, girl, I can't right now. So I need to put my words into practice, to be honest with you.
Mhm. Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes I wonder if, because I'm thinking, how do we honor what we feel, right? We've talked so many times about honoring and respecting what we feel with ourselves. And I think sometimes because life happens so
Mm-hmm.
quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's hard to kind of reel it back and tell yourself, I literally want to sit down and do nothing. A lot of times we have feelings around that, right? Not wanting to just sit still with it, or God forbid, we just lay there and get, I don't know, flip through your TV and sit there and, with your favorite TV show for a long period of time. It's almost like you're not supposed to be doing this. Like you need to be doing
Yeah,
more,
I know.
right?
It's true, especially because of where I'm at right now. It's funny because, I do feel I'm an entrepreneur trying to be right. But in all honesty, I just feel I'm living out my purpose through life coaching, right? So it's not for me about making money or like trying to have the status quo or trying to, be like someone else. Because that's, if you know me, that's not me. But I have the guilt of like, well, how can I make something successful if I'm not pouring into it? Because I'm a firm believer, what you put out is what you get. So if I'm not focusing on what I should be, or not, if I'm not being productive in what I should be, then Dawn, what do you expect? Like, this is what I tell myself. So yes, I am guilty of that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that whole thing, right, is I know that I mean, I'll speak for me too. Is just giving so much to others because
Mhm.
of maybe the position you hold at work or the
Mhm.
position you hold at home, being a
Mhm.
caretaker, being a boss, being this, being that.
Mhm.
We give, 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 give,
Mhm.
and a lot of times we feel depleted and
Mhm.
we don't realize that our bucket is empty, right? And we're literally running on fumes. So
Yeah.
how do we, again, stop and take a moment and just not feel guilty if we're not consistently doing anything? right?
Yeah, and I do post about that a lot. I do talk about pouring into yourself. Even if it's just 2 minutes, you just got to recenter and refocus, right? And you got to find that time. But like this weekend, I just couldn't turn my brain off, so I ended up going to work for a few hours because I knew if I went in on Sunday, no one's there. I can actually get done what I have to get done, and then I can just because you have to understand, I'm like those waitresses that can come up and not write nothing down and they just like keep it there and they come back, like this is my mind. And guess what? In my mind, the way if I don't do something, it's like
Right.
it records back to me. Like it's funny, like I really have that brain of, oh my God. And it just can, it could be, I'm not even thinking or talking about, I didn't do that. I didn't, like, it's like my brain is like,
It won't let it go. It seems like
no.
the recording stays on and it keeps replay, replay, replay over and over.
Yes. And so I went to work. I felt better. I felt good. I come home and then I'm able to, finish my day at home or whatever. So I came in on Monday. I was like, oh, do I have to come in today? Because I was like, I could really work at home, but I went in and showed up for my coworkers.
Mhm.
And then today comes around and I'm like, I'm tired. Everyone can see it. They know, like I wear my emotions. I'm like, you trust me, you see it and you feel my energy. I
Yeah.
cannot hide that good, bad, or ugly. And so an older gentleman is like, what are you tired for? He's like, and he likes to say he's older, but he is, but he says, my wife and I went hiking Saturday and Sunday and you're complaining that you're tired. I said, excuse you, I am mentally tired. I am not physically tired, thank you much. And he starts laughing. I was like, I know I'm younger than you, and I'm not complaining about myself physically. It's mentally. So he starts laughing. I get it. I get it. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah. But you know what? It's good that the fact that you're acknowledging that you are mentally tired. I think a
Hmm.
lot of times we struggle with that, right? We
Hmm.
don't realize that the tiredness isn't only revolving around the physical aspect
Right.
of us, but it's the
Hmm.
mental part of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're mentally depleted, then how do we give to others? How do we take care of everything else that goes around us? I mean, you're not what is a word? I don't know. You're not well rooted
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To carry on with your day.
Yeah. And it was so funny. So today I saw a post, a meme type of thing. They're like,
Hmm.
what is it said? This is my mom, or what did it say? This is my mom, or my mom's two behaviors. Something. It was really funny. And it's a guy, but he's happy and dancing and
Hmm.
upbeat. And then the next one is, I am having a mental breakdown. I thought that was so funny. I sent it all to my mom friends. I'm like, oh my God, that is so me today. I'm happy, I have the energy. And then next, I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm like, that sums up my week. That meme has summed up my week. I'm like, jeez. Yeah.
Oh,
But
but Don, I was going to say I can appreciate that because before we started the recording, we were just talking about. I'm like, I asked you, Don, how was your week? Not realizing you said I'm super tired. I'm very tired, and me not realizing we're 2 days into the week. So that's
And she's like, how's and I'm like, Claudia, I'm tired. And she goes, yeah, I'm like, but it's only Tuesday. She's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. So yes, it's been that way. But on top, okay, outside of all of that, like we spoke last week about Renee Brown. And I wanted to tell you that it just still stuck with me that I did put it in my description, by the way, and it was he who daringly, what is it? He's so daringly greatly. Yeah, yeah. I put it in my description,
in
but
your
I really
description,
love that. Yeah, from my last week's, but I
right?
really did love
Hmm.
that. Daring greatly. I love that because you dare to do something so great, right? Like I'm daring myself, right? So,
Right.
but I really did like his quote about. I'm going to pull it up. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong man stumbles, or where the doter of the deeds could have done them better. By the way, this is the Roosevelt. I think Roosevelt, right? Theodore Roosevelt was the president, and he's the one that gave this infamous quote.
Mhm.
And I think about that because, I am putting myself out there. And we jokingly, or I joked last week about, well, I haven't made it yet because I don't have a hater. But at the end of the day, like, I can't be concerned with that because I am trying to show up and be true to who I am and live my best life. And I really do think people get caught up in, what successful looks like, what
Mhm.
happiness looks like. And I can tell you there's no way my life is perfect, but I am very happy with who I am today. I am very happy with the life that I have. And let me tell you something, I don't like something, I change it. I deal with it because change requires change, right? And
Yeah.
so I can't be concerned with what other people think, because I know some people, I talk about the podcast and stuff, and they're just like, I can't do it. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I truly don't care. But I'm really doing this for me. And I
Mhm.
just wish if anyone listening, like if I can just, tell one person, like, it's not worth living in that fear. You can't let that fear hold you back. And that's anything that you're doing, right? Like, I mean, um, I'm doing this, obviously, I'm putting myself out here on social media through the podcast. But I've never been that way. I've never been I've always been a risk taker,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
paid off for me. Okay. So,
Yeah.
that's what's been sitting with me all week this week, and I really can't care what people think or, to me, like, even though I want so much more and I want to do so much more, I truly feel I have succeeded in life. And
Yeah.
it's not about the fact that, I'm a mother of two, I have a husband, we have a home, I have, life is good. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make it perfect or what. It's not that. Like, it's my success and happiness is, you know, for me, it's how I feel inside.
Mhm.
And when I
Mhm.
look in the mirror, I am not joking and I am not playing. I love my mirror. My mirror loves me. Like
Right.
I have done the work and I'm okay and I've accepted my flaws and whatever. But like when I lay down at night, I'm happy with who I am and what I do on a day-to-day basis. It's not what I have.
Right. Right. And I think again, that's a reinforcing message, right? It takes anyone can get to that same place. The same place that you're describing now, right? Is being in a state of mind where you really don't spend your
Hmm.
energy or thoughts worrying about what others think about you, how others perceive you, because reality is that there's always going to be an audience, if you will, the
Yes.
audience that isn't going to necessarily align with the same beliefs that you have with, any of that.
Right.
You're going to have cheerleaders and you're going to have those that aren't going to cheer you on. So it's up
Right.
to you to decide, right?
Yes.
How to separate the people that aren't on the sidelines cheering for you versus or because the number one thing here is you being a cheerleader for yourself, you
Yes.
showing up for yourself,
Yes, you
right?
believing in yourself, all of that. Like, and I feel that holds people back, right? So, yeah, you have to start with yourself. And we'll say it again. You have to love yourself in order, right? So you have to like yourself too. Like, you have to respect yourself. All of these things, you need to do that because I'm telling you, when you hold yourself to a higher regard, and when you hold yourself and you look at yourself a certain way, other
Mhm.
people really have no choice other than to respect you because you respect yourself. Do you know what I mean? You like yourself. Now, I can tell you those that don't and give you a hard time, they're insecure and that's their problem, not yours. You move along your way. Like, you know what I mean? You let them live in there and that you don't worry about that, right? Um,
Right.
but to take the conversation, I want to share a little laugh. um, I posted something weeks ago about having an emotional day. We all have them, they're hard. And so someone actually commented on there and said, "Hi, Grand Rising Dawn." And God, you guys, as soon as I read that, I knew, oh boy, that's someone from my childhood, right? She says, "I know that face." And then she's like, "Okay, I love this," like what I posted about. So I was like, at
Yeah.
first I'm like, "Who is this?" Like, you don't look familiar because we didn't follow each other, and I just went off the picture I saw is two little girls. So but because I feel so weird about going on people's pages. I personally don't do that myself. So the curiosity got me. And when she didn't respond, I had to go on her page and I'm like, oh my God, this has to be my cousin from New Jersey. It just has to be. And I haven't spoken to her since I've left New Jersey when I was 11 years old. And do the math, you guys know I'm 44. It's just a number.
Right.
So it's been a long time. And
Mhm.
so, like, it has to be. So it took me a day or two, and I finally reached out and said, is this Bernadette? And she's like, yeah, girl. So we reconnected and we talked, and you guys, like, it just brought me back. Like, it's just so crazy um, to just think, oh my, that was a lifetime ago. And like I was only 11, but like I told her, she's like, girl, I know your face. And then the way you talk, she's like, I knew that was you. Cause now mind you, I have a little bit of an accent, but it's
Mhm.
not really there. Like when I first came,
Right.
cause I'm telling you, when I came, I was like Rosie Perez with the head rolling and the fast talking. Like
Do that.
I did not breathe. I was, my uncles used to flick my ears, breathe, girl, breathe. I am. And I'm like, I'm breathing because I had asthma. It was so funny. So my one uncle would
Oh,
always,
you literally were breathing. Oh
no,
my goodness.
really. So he would always say, you don't have asthma, girl. You forget how to breathe. I have asthma. I have wheezing. I had an inhaler, whatever. But so one would make fun and say, you don't have it. And then the other one would say, breathe. And I'm like, oh my God, leave me alone. But anyways, so when I first came here, I was telling her, oh my God, like, we got made fun of. Oh, so by the way, so when she answers the phone, and I haven't heard this, oh my God, since I was a kid, Dawn, Dawn. I'm like, oh my God. Because, they don't say Dawn, they say Dawn, And so,
Boom.
oh my
Mhm.
God. So when she's like, Dawn, Dawn, I was like, oh my God, you're taking me back, girl. It was just so cute. But I told her, yeah, coming here, like obviously I didn't look like anybody. And then people would always try to say, oh, why are you acting black? And I'm like, what? No, I'm not. I'm Puerto Rican, like everyone in New Jersey rolls their
Mm.
head. Like it didn't matter
Right.
what, because it was a melting pot, believe it or not, right? We had
Mhm.
every culture there, okay? And
Mhm.
everyone rolled their head and talked that way. It wasn't like here, oh, only black girls, talk like that or act like that. So she's like, girl, I remember you were a fighter. I'm like, girl, yes, I was. Like, you had to be. And she knows that, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm still a badass. I'm like, I'm sure you are. It was so funny. But um, I honestly feel like I was quiet, but no, girl, I would fight because I would fight with my cousins, like boy cousins. And I did not let myself, as you guys already know, that third child, that middle child syndrome. So yeah, I was. I was bad in that sense. But
Mhm.
anyways, we were just talking, and it's crazy because we all have our journeys
Yeah.
and we all have our story.
Mhm.
And she has a crazy story, and I told her I would love to have that conversation with her, whatever she's willing to talk about, obviously, even if it's just
Sure.
about me and just that experience of you know knowing each other, living, down the street, and then, falling apart or whatever. But it was funny because even though I was only 11 when I came here, you have to understand those 11 years, they're rooted in you. They shape you to who you are,
Right.
So I told her I may have been gone that long, but it's like, that's me though. Like, so, and it's funny, some people that that are in I don't know how to say it, but that know, like I can meet people right away. You're from the East Coast and you're Puerto Rican. Like, how do you do that? Like, what do I do
Right.
that? Like, my mannerisms, some people know it, some people don't. I find that interesting all the time that people pick up on it. Some people don't or whatever. But I thought that was cute that she's like, I saw that face and the way you talk, she's like, I know that was you. I was like, oh my God.
How nice. I mean, talk about timing, right? It was meant for you to connect or reconnect with her during that emotional week that you were having,
Right.
right?
And
I
it was
wonder.
so funny because so I said, by the way, like, did you just like come across my page or what, And
Yeah.
so I have, obviously I'm on every platform just about, but
Mhm.
Instagram, I have, life coaching with Dawn. And then I have my SN, my sunshine one, SN,
Mhm.
111, whatever. So that's the one that I've had forever. And that's more personal. Right.
Right.
But life coaching with Dawn is it's just me, only postings of
Right.
me and only postings about empowering, encouraging, all that positive stuff, you know. And it's not, I only have like 53 followers. Like I just started that account. So she's
Yeah.
like, girl, just, you know how they say you may know this person. And she's like, when I saw that face, she's like, oh, I know that
Yeah.
face, you know? So she's like, then I go on there and I look and I was like, and I see you. Oh, that's Don Don. I'm like, oh my God, you did not just say that. I was like, oh, so what I wanted to like, what really touched me is, for me and people that are, if you're doing anything like that I'm doing, like you just never know. And it's always in the back of my head, I hope this helps someone, did this help someone? Now, mind you, my friends are telling me, oh, you're so good, this helped me. Thank you, but it's not the same.
Right.
Because you guys know me and you're proud of me and you're supporting me and I appreciate it, trust me, okay? But when it's someone you don't know or don't expect and they reach out, because I can tell you, since last week we talked, girl, like I'm getting a little more, like just here and there, a little more engagements. People are like, oh my God, thank you, I needed that. Or 100%, like people are commenting here and there, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's actual people on the other side, like.
Like
Right.
someone's listening, right?
Yes. But
Yes.
you never know. And so that's what I want people to hear. It's like, you never know. Like, it's scary to put yourself out there. But like I said, I am selfishly doing this for me with the hopes of helping someone. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's like, oh my God, my long lost cousin found me. It was so funny. But yeah. But can I, not to get like too deep here, but or personal, but like I said, we all have our journeys and stories. And so I told her, I said, well, please tell your sisters, because they were older than me and her, right? So I said, please
Right.
tell them I said hi or whatever. And I have the fondest memories, like, girl, like we were dancers, like in my childhood in New Jersey was music, dancing, double dutch, Chinese jump rope, like like it
Fun.
was outdoors, climbing trees, getting the worms, which I would not touch a worm today, but as a kid I did. I was a little tomboy, climbing those damn trees, getting those worms. And in the winters we would layer up with multiple socks and clothing and just slide in the damn snow. And so and
Fun.
she's like, I remember that, remember this, remember that. It was really nice. But
Oh,
so growing up in New Jersey was way different than coming here, and my kids' experience, of course, right?
yeah.
But I told her, please tell your sister. She goes, I'll try. For them, anything you say about their like childhood, they're just like they're not interested. And I was like, look, I understand that because I can tell you, for me, when we left New Jersey and came to California, like I said, I was 11. Um,
Mhm.
Things changed for us because this is also a different environment. In
Right.
New Jersey, we always had a really big house, and life was just different. Here is more expensive, whatever. And it was a big culture shock, believe it or not. But things got harder when I was actually a teenager. And being
Oh,
older, like you
mhm.
know more and you see more, whatever, right? And
Right.
so I can tell you, and my daughter always asks, and I don't ever answer because I'm not ready to talk about it. But like,
Right.
there's certain music I cannot. I will change it. Certain songs or certain type of music, it just takes me
Sure.
back to that time period, and I have no
Right.
interest in going back.
Right. No fond
Like
memories of
going
it.
to the
Mhm.
valley, like you don't understand, like especially for certain parts of North Hollywood or the valleys. Like, yeah, I have no interest. Like, what else? There's certain things that trigger that time, and I'm good. Like I left that
Right.
behind when I ran
Right.
away and never went back in that sense. Like so I
Mhm.
can understand that, and I don't take that personal, but.
Right.
I just thought that was interesting. And so
Mhm.
she's like, no, I'm different. Like, I had my journey, but I've come so far, and she's so grateful.
Mhm.
And I just love that. I love, and she was so funny. She's like, yeah, I know you were a little fighter, and I knew how you were. It's just so cute to see, like, what other
Oh,
people think or what
right.
they
What
saw.
it would you turn out to be, right? After all these
Yes,
years, and to reconnect and
yes,
reminisce on certain things that remind you of those fond memories and
yeah.
fun times, and then maybe the ones that you don't care to remember, you put aside, and that's okay too, you know?
Yeah, but what's crazy is that, like, and even as adults, you can, like, people, like, I'm not going to say in any age, but like, do you know how like you can see something in me and I don't?
Right.
And I feel people should really, pay attention to that because like I have been told that a lot, like, but when I was going through it and I was young, I didn't see that. I didn't know that. Like, I didn't think I would be able to overcome certain things and,
Right.
have such a joyful life or whatever. Like, you just never know, right? But
Yeah.
it's always interesting to me when people are like, "Oh, I just knew that about you. I just knew." And I'm like, "How'd you know? Like, what did you see that I didn't know?" So,
I know, right?
yeah.
I
So,
know. They saw the resilience that you didn't, because of course in that moment, and we all experience that, if it's so hard and you can't imagine or see yourself getting on the other side of that mountain, but
mm-mm.
somehow, some way, if you, what is it, you know, find the strength to get through it, or identify other alternatives and know that, okay, the other side is going to take me elsewhere, the end
Well,
result,
yes,
right?
yes. And what I can tell you for me, what worked in all honesty is gratitude. Believe it or not, but I didn't realize it then, right?
Mhm.
Like, I've always was like, well, these could be worse. It's something I always told myself. I swear to, like, I swear, like, things
Yeah.
could be worse, or like, I truly always, and it's just, again, that thing that's
Mhm.
innately in you. And this is why I'm a life coach, and I'm gonna tell you every time, but like, thinking like, well, at least I have this, or at least this, like, I would always just look at the brighter side of things. And for
Right.
me, that's what got me through it. So, and I just posted, ironically, positivity and gratitude goes a long way. So
Sure.
you really have to love your life, even though you don't love it. Like, you got to find a
Mhm.
way to love it. Look at the positives, right? Look at, what you do have, what you can do, not what you don't have or what you can't do. Like,
Mhm.
people, oh, I have to go to work. No, you get to go to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you really
Yeah.
gotta, oh, I gotta go work out. No, you get to work out. Like, if you really break down that, like, physically, you have no reason not to get on that treadmill or do whatever it is, like, right? But there's people that can't. So when you say,
Right.
I have to, no, you get to. Like, so
Right.
it's really that mindset and that gratitude attitude. Ooh, you like
Mhm.
that? Gratitude attitude. I feel that that's what takes you further in life.
Yes, was right. Well, they say that if sometimes you're going through a hard time and you feel like, the example I've heard is, go sit in an emergency room
Oh, Lord.
and just sit there and think about, or just to hear, you're in there for something yourself, or, if you're there to accompany somebody else, and then you hear what goes on around you, you realize, oh, this situation isn't that
Mhm,
bad. Like,
mhm.
other people have it worse, or others, and not that we're feeding off of other people's, what is it? You
Misery
know,
or whatever.
right, misery, right, exactly. No, it's more about, what, going back to what you're saying, is that you appreciate what you do have and say, my circumstances are not, they could be worse,
Hmm.
right? They
Hmm.
could be worse in all
Hmm.
actuality. So I always say, Don, you wake up in the morning. A lot of times we take for granted the fact that you can just wake up and move your limbs. You can
Hmm.
stretch, you can
Hmm.
get up, you can
Hmm.
stretch.
Hmm.
Some people don't have that. Some people need someone to come into their home and help them and support them and assist them,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
not be in the right headspace to do that because you're too depressed to get out of bed.
Hmm.
Let's be grateful for that. Be grateful
Yeah,
for what you do have,
I
for
know.
the
And
gift.
that's what I mean, right? Like,
Right.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, like, you really do
Yeah.
literally have to take inventory,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know, good and bad though. Like, I mean, I heard something that was so, oh my, and I meant to write it down, but it's like, you really do need to take inventory of the good and the bad. The good is, what you do have, right? What you can do. And I mean, if things are, if you, when you do take that inventory, you can really see what you don't need in your life and who you don't need,
Hmm.
and I think
Yeah.
that will help too, because I'm telling you, like, I have not been motivated. I'm telling you, life has been lifing and I'm tired, but I'm just like, no. So then I have to do those things that get me in that, like, okay, mindset of, I'm going to do this. And that's, in all honesty, recording this is one of them, recording this episode.
Right.
Like, I'm telling you, like, oh, I could easily just have laid down, put on some reality TV and vegged out. But it's like, then it's like, where did that get me? What did that, like, that did not give me improvement. That didn't pour into me. I'm not saying I don't do that, because I do when I want to, right?
Right.
But you have to be mindful of, like, that too. If that does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
you have to do the things that make you feel good, that have a good end result.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it
Right.
took everything in me to come up my damn stairs and sit here. Everything. As much as I love doing this, and it
Mhm.
just, I'm like, oh, I just want to crawl in bed and just not, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, like that's not going to do anything good for me. So
Right.
don't, if you can, please do not let your feelings get in the way of your actions. Because
Mhm.
a lot of times we do allow how we feel affect what we do. And so that is like my biggest takeaway from, today, my breakaway tip is, to reflect on that. Like, oh, I don't feel like working out. Like, yeah, well, you have to, because then at the end you
Mhm.
got those natural endorphins, you feel good.
Yeah.
Like there's that benefit, right? Like,
Right.
um, so, I don't feel like going into work. And then, you get up and, someone's gonna seriously on that day, I'm so happy you're here. Like you helped me, or like, then it pays off. Like, so what you put
Mhm.
out is what you get. Right. So
Right.
try not to base, your actions on how you feel, because then guess what? If you're in a bad mood, if you're in a bad headspace, then it's not going to work out for you. So try to remember when you're feeling away, okay, why am I feeling like that? And what can I do to change that? That's where that self-awareness comes in. So that would be my tip.
Beautiful. Well said, Don. I like that.
Yes. So on that note, keep pushing, keep shining, keep thriving. Until next time.